Welcome back to Universe. I'm Andrew, and today I'm playing Marvel Champions. This is Betsy Braddock or Psylocke against Juggernaut, Scenario 3 of the NeXt Evolution campaign. If you want to see Scenarios 1 and 2, link in the description. We have Domino facing off against the Morlocks facing off against the Marauders, saving the Morlocks. And then Scenario 2, we had Cable up against the Marauders again, this time on the run, as the Marauders try to escape with Hope, but we have saved Hope for now. So scenario 3, the Juggernaut, says, after freeing Hope from the Marauder, she helps you interrogate her captor to discover the location where they were to deliver her, the state home for foundlings in Omaha, Nebraska. You try to convince Hope to return to the X mansion while you check out the location, but she insists she's going to Omaha with or without you. You have no choice but to bring her with you in order to ensure her safety. You travel to Omaha with Hope at your side to discover the state home for foundlings is a rundown, seemingly abandoned orphanage. You're just about to enter the orphanage when the doors explode outward, sending you flying. When the dust clears, you see the doorway guarded by a hulking man in a red helmet, the Juggernaut. So he's set up here, and one of the encounter sets used here is the Hope Summers encounter set, which is actually recommended as a way an encounter set you could add to any scenario, and it actually makes it a little bit easier because you get to start with this ally in play, although it does give you a big downside. If Hope Summers leaves play, the players lose the game. So we don't want to do that. She does start in play, and her attack and thwart, her base attack and base thwart are equal to our hero's current attack and thwart, respectively. And she's just got 3 health, but she does not have consequential damage, so she can attack and thwart without taking damage. So that at least is nice, but we do have to be very careful if she got attacked somehow, or certainly probably don't want to defend with her. And just before we get started, I'm going to complain because Hope Summers is baked into the Juggernaut scenario. I've never read a comic book that had Hope Summers and Juggernaut in the same story. I have no problem with them coming up with their own scenarios for the campaigns, their own storylines. That's awesome. No problem with. But now whenever I face against Juggernaut, I have to use Hope. So that is annoying that Hope is a mandatory encounter set for the Juggernaut. It says you can use one modular set, and for the campaign it's Black Tom Cassidy, but Hope is mandatory. Now, I don't know. We'll see what kind of cards come out. Maybe the cards never actually refer to Hope, and you could just switch it out for a different encounter set, but I'm generally not a fan of the campaign needs, as much as I do like the fact that they release encounters as primarily as campaigns now, but that the campaign needs are overriding individual villain identities. Like now in Marvel Champions, Juggernaut is permanently linked to Hope, which just doesn't make any sense outside of this campaign. Same with like the Morlocks. I can never try to rescue the Morlocks from anybody except for the Marauders. I can never fight Sabretooth unless he's attacking Senator Kelly. So rant over, let's keep going. Also, for being on scenario 3 of the campaign, I have these 2 environments. We'll see what they do pretty soon because I'll probably be using them pretty quickly. We also have a new player side scheme from the campaign, Practice Maneuvers. If I can remove the 4 threat from that, I will get a bonus. This player side scheme does not count against the cap on player side schemes that can be in play as a 1 or 2 player game. This being a 1 player game, I can only have 1 player side scheme in play other than this. And in my previous Cable video, I made a mistake. I had 2 player side schemes in play other than the campaign player side scheme at the same time on the first turn. So that was my mistake in that game. I don't think that's going to come up here because Psylocke doesn't really have more than 1 player side scheme in her deck, I believe. And again, this one doesn't count, but more of a correction for the previous video. So Juggernaut basically hits hard. He's going to be collecting these momentum tokens. Normally he would, when revealed, start with just 1. And you can see it says when revealed, he gets 1. He's also tough, which I should give him his tough status as well. He's starting at 18 hit points. Stage 2 will be 21 hit points. If I can beat stage 1 and stage 2, I win. There is a stage 3, but we won't be using that. And he gets +1 attack for each momentum counter. So in addition to the 1, he also is starting with 2 because of the campaign rules. So he's actually going to have 3, which means his starting attack value is 5, which is a big attack. He also has his helmet, which starts in play, and it gives him stalwart, so he can't be stunned or confused, and his attacks have overkill. So if I were to defend with an ally, which would not be Hope, but any excess damage over their remaining health would go to me, Psylocke. As a hero action, though, I can spend 3 resources to take his helmet off and flip it to this side, where he will take extra damage from every card that has a printed mental resource. I didn't plan it, but Psylocke does have some psionic stuff and mental resources going on, so hopefully that will benefit me. And whenever he schemes, he gets a momentum, and this card flips back. He puts his helmet back on if you give him time to do so. And also this, when you remove his helmet, you take off all his momentum. So I can get his attack down from 5 down to 2 by spending 3 resources taking off his helmet. I'm sure there are cards in the encounter deck that put his helmet back on. So if we get a little unlucky, that could happen. But otherwise, it seems like taking his helmet off is permanent unless we let him scheme. So I have to be very careful going to alter ego form. And then we've got the main scheme. We do not lose for letting it advance. If it hits 7, again, 7 per player, 1 player, so 7. If it hits 7 threat, it's starting with 1 per player, so 1. We would resolve this effect. Remove all the threat. His helmet comes back on if it's off. He gets a momentum counter, and he attacks every player. So we cannot lose through threat, but if we give him time out of the fight, he will build up momentum, put his helmet back on, etc. And finally, this is a face down encounter card that's been dealt to me by the scenario setup. This is either Black Tom or one of his plant monsters. So Psylocke here, we got Betsy Braddock. She's a British woman in the body of a Japanese assassin who was evil, so it's okay. Not really, which is why they've fixed that now in current continuity. Both women have their own bodies back. And so it's slightly unfortunate, in my opinion, that this Psylocke is Betsy Braddock in the Quanen's body. But that is what Psylocke was like for many, many years in the comics. So it's understandable that they went that. The change is pretty recent. So anyway, Psionic Manifestation says she starts with her 2 Psi Energy upgrades as Psi Knives. We'll look at those in a second. And as an action, she can exhaust a Psi Energy upgrade to shuffle a Psionic card from her discard pile into her deck. So a little bit of reusing of cards. And then on her hero form, she only has 1 thwart and 1 attack with 2 defense. But when she does use a basic power as an interrupt, which I believe means you would resolve that interrupt ability before moving forward with the attack, which is relevant because the Psi Energy upgrades modify her attack or thwart values. So before you resolve an attack or thwart or defense, you can flip one of these. So we want to see these. They are both the same, I believe. So we got Psi Knife permanent. She gets +1 thwart. Gives you a mental resource, which is great, and then you may flip it. And if you do flip it, it becomes a Psi Katana, which is actually restricted, so she can only have 2 restricted items at a time. So if she has both of her Psi Katanas out, that would be both of her 2-handing weapons. She wouldn't be able to have any more weapons in play, or any restricted items. She gets +1 attack instead of thwart, and attacks gain piercing, which is nice, because that would slice through the tough. Interesting to think about. That might be relevant here in a second. And as a resource, she can make a strength, and then you can flip the card. So we're starting with both as the knives, so that's 2 thwarts. So instead of 1 thwart, she's at 3, which is really interesting because Hope says her base attack and thwart are equal to your hero's attack and thwart. But as Betsy, she's not a hero. So does Hope get the unmodified ones? Because that's what's printed here, even though we're not in hero form. Does she get the modified 3 thwart because that's what it would be if we were in hero form? Or does she have 0s because we don't actually have a hero? We have an alter ego. Well, it's not in the rulebook, at least not on this FAQ page. So I'm going to say that she has the printed value when we're in alter ego form. If we're in hero form, then it'll be the modified as necessary, which means currently Hope has 1 and 1. I think that is everything. So I'm going to start out by using this. You use safe house established. It starts with a safe house counter. You can remove it, which I just did, to put the safe house support into play. So this environment is still in play, but I'm going to move it off camera. And now we have the safe house support in play. So it's a powerful support, but thanks to the campaign, we got some upgrades to deal with some of these extra problems being thrown at us. And as an alter ego action, I can exhaust this to heal 2 or draw a card. And I am in alter ego form, so I will exhaust it and I will draw a card. Then I'm going to use once per turn. I can change between alter ego form and hero form, so I will do that. So now Hope has the 3 thwart, and I think I will thwart with her to remove 3 threat from a scheme, and I'm going to remove 3 from practice maneuvers. Then I'm going to exhaust these 2 Psi Knives for a psionic energy each, and I will choose to flip one of them to a katana. And I will also spend a third. I'll spend discard this card from my hand to spend it as a third mental energy. And that is 3 energy of 3 resources of the same type to remove all momentum and flip the helmet card to Juggernaut exposed. So now he does not have Stalwart or Overkill. His attack is down to 2, and he takes an extra damage from cards with printed mental resources. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this environment, Team Assembled. Remove the assembly counter from it. Each player can search for an ally with cost 3 or less. I didn't actually look through Psylocke's deck, unlike my first turn with Cable where I had planned everything meticulously. I planned a bit here, but I'm going with the flow here, and I don't know what ally I'm searching up, but I'm sure there'll be something good. 3 or less. And there's only one, which is a fine one, except I'm going to cheat a little bit because it is her signature ally, Angel. And he says as a response, after you play him from your hand. So that ability's not going to trigger anyway. I was going to cheat and use Psylocke first so that I could then ready her, but I'm not playing Angel from my hand, so we don't get that response anyway. Well, is this even a good card? Costs 3 for a 1 thwart to attack with 3 health. Those are bad stats overall. And they got kind of stingy with that ability that you have to play him from your hand. But anyway, he's going to do the job because I'm going to play him and then I will thwart with him. He does take 1 consequential damage because of the little bursty symbol under the thwart and attack. Either one, he will take 1 damage. And then remove 1 threat from a scheme and remove it from practice maneuvers. Just flip this and put it into play. So now we have another environment card, but this one says reduce the cost to play each event with a printed cost of 3 or more by 1. So for example, an event that costs 3 will now cost 2, and that environment is also staying in play, but will actually affect the game. So I'll leave that out, at least until I run out of space. Then I'm going to play Flurry of Blades. Hey, look, it's an event that costs 3. So I only have to pay 2 for it, and I'm going to pay with the Power of the Mind, which generates double resources, normally 1 mental resource, but 2 instead if it's paying for a psionic card, and Flurry of Blades is a psionic card. So we're going to get to do 2 damage to an enemy. For each of my Psi Knives, I get to confuse an enemy. I have 1 Psi Knife, so I will confuse 1 enemy, which will be Juggernaut. And for each Psi Katana, I can choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. So I'll choose Juggernaut and deal 2 damage to it. But first is the attack, and the Psi Katana says that our attacks gain piercing, which means we can ignore tough. So instead of all of the damage being prevented by this tough status on Juggernaut, we get to slice right through that with piercing and deal 2 plus 2 more plus stun him. Or confuse him, rather. So he goes down to 14 and becomes confused. So confused means next time he would thwart, he skips thwarting. Or rather, next time he would scheme, he skips scheming, which actually gives us a reprieve because Juggernaut Exposed triggers after he schemes, and the confused would prevent that. So something to think about. We could take a turn off into alter ego form if we need to, as long as that confuse is still there. Then I'm going to play Cypher. He's an ally who costs 2 resources. I'm going to pay with X Bunker and Martial Arts Training. Each of them has a printed resource. The types don't matter. Speaking of types, Flurry of Blades was an energy resource card. Too bad it wasn't a mental, because it would have done extra damage twice, because it did damage in 2 different sentences, basically. Cypher, 2 cost, 1 thwart, 1 attack, but when he attacks and damages a confused enemy, I get to draw a card. So let's go ahead and do that. I will attack Juggernaut directly with Cypher. Unfortunately, that's only going to happen once, because when he takes his second damage, he'll go to the discard pile, and he doesn't get to do that response. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Because if he were to attack again, he would take a second consequential damage and go to the discard pile before that response would trigger, because it only triggers after he attacks, which is unfortunate. So Juggernaut takes 1. Yeah, you need to go through some shenanigans to pump up his health or remove that damage in order to get more than 1 trigger out of Cypher. I drew Pete Wisdom, which I haven't read yet. 4 cost, 3, 2, 3. After you resolve the when revealed effects, heal 1. All right, well, I think I'm okay spending him as a resource because I'm going to be playing Upside the Head. This is a 1 cost. I just discarded Pete Wisdom to pay for that. It says after your hero makes basic attack, which means I actually need to do a basic attack in order to play this as a response. It also needs to damage the enemy, and if that happens, it will confuse them. But if they're already confused, they get stunned. So now we're going to get to stun and confuse Juggernaut, because I'll go ahead and attack with Psylocke. before I attack as an interrupt, I can flip one of these, and I think I'll go ahead and flip the knife because that's going to give me an extra damage. So now her attack is a +2 for a total of 3. So we're hitting Juggernaut for 3 down to 10, and the upside the head will stun him. So that was a pretty good first turn. The main downside here is just the fact that this extra encounter card is going to be coming. So I will ready all my cards and draw to my hand size, which is, ooh, Psylocke's got a 4. Yeah, that makes sense because she's got 2 built-in resource cards, but it's still kind of rough. She's only going to get 4 cards in hand, which means I probably do want to be switching to alter ego form. All right, so during the villain phase, the main scheme will get 1 threat per player, puts it up to 2. Then Juggernaut activates, but he can't because he is stunned. So since I'm in hero form, he wants to attack, but the stun prevents that attack. And then I draw an encounter card and resolve all encounter cards. Let's see this one first, and it is Black Tom Cassidy. He is villainous, which means when he schemes or attacks, he gets a boost card, which we haven't seen yet. But just like a villain would get a boost card, he gets a boost card, which means those ones are fake. He's going to get probably a bonus to those if he gets to activate, which won't be this round, fortunately. He can't take damage while there's a Creeping Willow in play. Currently, there are none. Those are little plant minions. And when revealed, search for a plant. All right, well, I guess he's going to get a Willow. So here's a Creeping Willow. 0 scheme, 1 attack. Guard means as long as it's in play, I cannot attack the villain, which is Juggernaut. Quick Strike means it attacks me right away as soon as it comes out. And after it attacks and damages a character, they are stunned. That's pretty harsh. Well, I don't want to be stunned. And I'm not in a hurry to use Angel. He's not that effective. I'm going to defend with Angel, the 1 damage, which feels weird and stuns him. Is that worth it? I don't know. I just don't want to be stunned. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't know. And then we also get a ground pound from Juggernaut. The players as a group take indirect damage equal to Juggernaut's attack. Well, that sucks for solo. There's only 1 of me. If there were more of us, we'd get to split it up. His attack is only 2, though. And I think I'll just let Psylocke take that 2. That's fine. So she is at 8. Now it's my turn, but I have to go through this Creeping Willow and Black Tom. And they've got a total of 9 health. Psylocke's current attack is 1, 2, 3 with the katanas. So Hope can attack for 3. And maybe just take out the Creeping Willow. Especially since Black Tom can't take damage while Creeping Willow's in play. I'm going to play... All right, I think I'm going to play Captain Britain and pay with these 2 cards. Captain Britain actually hits for an extra damage. You know what? Never mind. Struggling between playing Captain Britain now, and he takes 1 less consequential damage after hitting a side scheme or minion. So he can hit Black Tom for 3. Normally he takes 2 consequential damage, but that would only be 1 against Black Tom. Or I can get rid of Black Tom first, switch to alter ego, and use an extra card from the safe house to play Captain Britain, and then send Captain Britain at Juggernaut. But then he's going to take the full consequential damage, but he has a printed mental resource. Juggernaut exposed, that means he'll do 4 damage instead of 3. And unless another minion comes out for next round, the amount of consequential damage on him isn't super relevant, 1 or 2, because he's still going to take 2 more next time he attacks. Again, unless another minion... Or I could have him thwart the side scheme, actually. All right, you know what? That's what we'll do. But that doesn't work great either. Well, it's fine. All right, so I'm going to have Psylocke attack for 3 against Black Tom. So 3 damage. And yeah, what the heck? We're going to play another upside the head. So after they attack and damage the enemy, confuse them. If they're already confused, they're stunned. So we get to do that again. So I think that works out. And then... I'm going to go to alter ego form. I'm going to get 2 strength resources. Well, first I will draw a card with the safe house just to spend it by getting 2 strength and discarding these 2 cards as resources. I will choose to change 1 just in case. That can affect Hope, but get a little flexibility. And then Captain Britain will come out and I will have him attack Black Tom for 3 to finish him off, and he only takes 1 consequential damage. And I did like this flurry of blades I played from my discard pile, so I'm going to use Betsy's action. Oh, you have to exhaust the Psi Energy upgrade to shuffle one back in? No, never mind. Already exhausted them. Definitely not doing that. We'll leave this Flurry of Blades in the discard pile. I'm not going to use Cypher. I don't know if there's a way to get a second draw card out of him, but he's not having a huge impact right now either way, so I'm going to just leave him out. He can be a blocker later, or if he is, you know, if I need to play a third ally, because Hope doesn't count. You can only have 3 allies in play, but Hope doesn't count. But if, yeah, so if Cypher's taking up space where I need another ally, then I can just attack or thwart with him to get rid of him and make room. For now, I get to draw back up to my hand size, which is now back to 6. Main Scheme gets 1 threat. He tries to attack, but he can't. And then we get 1 encounter card, which is an assault. But in Alter Ego form, the assault gains surge instead. So we skip that, get a different card. Oh, and I was wrong. He doesn't try to attack. He tries to scheme. So he's still stunned, but he's no longer confused, which is actually rough because I just drew advance. So now he schemes, which is going to put his helmet back on. So I thought I was safe with the confusion, but advance strikes again. So he gets to scheme. That means he's going to add threat to the main scheme equal to his scheme value of 1 plus a boost. First time we're seeing a boost. So we're going to look at the top encounter card, but we're only going to look at the bottom right corner and see that it's got 2 boost icons, which means instead of scheming for 1, he's going to scheme for 3, which puts it up to 6. And then the helmet means he's going to get a momentum, and the helmet comes back on. And with the helmet on, he is stalwart, which means he cannot be stunned. And that was a really annoying advance. Thought the confusion had him locked down, but I'm gonna have to pay 3 resources again to get his helmet back off. Wait, hold on. Rewind that a bit, because I have a telepathic suggestion to affect this confused Juggernaut that makes it so that maybe he doesn't want to scheme at all. I'm gonna have to pay 2 for this, and I'm gonna have to pay for my hand because these are hero resources. Oh, which means I cheated with Captain Britain. Okay, my bad. I cheated with Captain Britain. I could not use these resources while in Alter Ego form, and I needed the 4th resource from Safe House, which has to be in Alter Ego form. So I messed that up. I think I could have mostly done the same thing if I just put a second consequential damage on him, which is really annoying. I think I could have done something else, but I'm going to pay for my mistake there. I need to pay 2 for this. All right, so I'll pay with these. I am paying with a mental resource, and this is going to cancel the when revealed effects of the advance. So instead of scheming, he will not scheme. For each of my Psi Katanas, which is 1, it's going to deal 2 damage, but that's going to be increased to 3 by Juggernaut exposed. Oh no, paying with mental resource does not add damage. This is an energy resource. So it's just 2, he goes to 8. I'm getting hot and tired in here. And for each knife I have, I get to remove a threat from a scheme. So we'll knock this back down to 2. That was a very powerful telepathic suggestion. Now I got to play my turn with just the 3 cards, but I do have the 2 resources. Although I can draw a card again, so let's do that. Let's go ahead and switch into hero form. A little afraid of what Juggernaut's going to do. Oh, this momentum is not there. When he goes to stage 2. Maybe I just need to find out. I think I'd like to be able to attack for 3. So I'm going to play another Flurry of Blades that I drew, and I'm going to pay only 2 because of the practice maneuvers. I'll pay with this Psi Knife to get a mental resource, but then flip it to the katana. So 2 katanas, so her attack is 3, which isn't relevant at this moment, but could be. Second card to pay will be another upside the head, and we're going to do this attack for 2. For each knife, I get to confuse him. Oh, I did want to confuse him, though. I better I'll put his helmet on. Should I look ahead? Nah, we'll let this time be a surprise. Oh, he does 2 extra damage for each katana. All right, so never mind. I'm going to not flip it. I'm going to have 1 knife, 1 katana. So we're going to do 4 damage, putting him down to 4, and get to apply a confuse. And then I'm going to attack with Captain Britain. His attack value is 3, but he has a printed mental resource, so he does +1. This time we're getting a +1 damage, putting him down to 0. Captain Britain takes 2 consequential damage, and he's done. But we've defeated Juggernaut stage 1. We go to stage 2. So let's see what we're dealing with here. 1 scheme, 3 attack now. He gets +1 attack for each momentum. That's the same. When revealed, place momentum. If Juggernaut exposed is in play, flip it. Yeah. Otherwise, he's cuffed. All right, so we go back to the helmet mode, which, oh, and he can't be stunned or confused now. I didn't even think of that part of it. I was just worried about having to pay the 3 resources again. All my status efforts are for naught. It's going to have 4 attack, 3 + 1 momentum. He would have gotten tough, which I actually didn't care about because I can pierce it, but the helmet back on is really annoying. All right, and his new health is 21, but if I can do that 21, then I win. I'll go ahead and attack with Angel, but he can't attack because he's stunned, so he loses the stun, so at least he's doing something. And now my weapons are a little bit, my Psy Energy cards are a little bit wonky. I think I'm going to spend this as a strength resource to pay for Lay the Trap, and I will flip it. So now I have 2 Psy Knives, which is +1 thwart each. And I'm playing Lay the Trap, costs 1. This is a player side scheme, so it's a side scheme, but I'm playing it. Has a victory 0, which means if it's defeated, instead of going to any discard pile, it's put into a victory display where it will be worth 0 points, but that can be relevant for a couple different reasons. When defeated, though, the player who defeated it deals 5 damage to the villain, and it's got 3 threat. So that goes out in the side schemes, but then I've got +2 threat here, and so I'm just going to go ahead and thwart that with Hope, who matches Psylocke's thwart value. So we'll thwart that for 5 damage. So that's in the victory display, and Juggernaut goes down to 16. Then I will attack, and I will flip 1 back so that I do 2 damage and put him down to 14, and I think that is it. I am ending my turn with a card in my hand, Telepathy. Not a card I'm particularly excited about saving, but also nothing I can really do with it. So I only get to draw up to 4 cards, which means I only draw 3. So now we get a threat on the main scheme, the Unstoppable Juggernaut. He will attack, and he has Overkill. So this is the perfect time to defend with an ally, except the allies I would defend with only have 1 remaining health, and the rest of the damage would go to Psylocke anyway. But he's hitting for 4. 4 is a lot, by the way. 4 plus a boost. Boosts usually don't go to 4. They're like 0 to 3. So if we hit a 3 boost, that's 7 damage, and Psylocke will go to 1. And I can increase that by 1 more by blocking with Cypher or Angel. I cannot block with Hope because she would die, and then I would lose the game. So I think I just got to take it and hope it's not a boost for 4, and on top of that, be at a very precarious health going forward. So let's see our damage. 0. We got a 0 boost advance. This time I'm happy to see the advance. So Psylocke takes 4 damage. And we get an encounter card, which is Siderax Exemplar. So, in case you don't know, Juggernaut is not a mutant. In a comic world filled with mutants, Juggernaut is not one of them. He has his powers through magic, the Crimson Gem of Psylocke, who is some kind of deity. In expert mode, it has Incite 1. I'm not playing in expert mode, but that would add 1 more threat to the main scheme. When revealed, if Juggernaut Expose is in play, it is not. Flip it and put a momentum counter on Juggernaut. Otherwise, place threat on the main scheme equal to Juggernaut's attack. Wow. 4 threat will actually make it hit 7. So, wow, I could be dead. I do not have any events that can respond to that. I cannot cancel that when revealed effect. So we're adding 4 threat because his attack is 4, 3 plus the 1. That is 7, which triggers the Unstoppable Juggernaut. Remove all the threat. Juggernaut Exposes in play, flip it. Place a 1 momentum counter. His attack goes up to 5. And then he attacks everybody. So I'm getting attacked again, but this time for 5, and I'm already down to 4. So that's it. I guess the stun and confuse lock is really important because letting him hit you once, letting him hit me once was okay. Hitting twice was not okay. Yeah, he's attacking for 5. I can defend with Cypher, but that is, oh gosh. Vanisher comes out. That is 2 boosts, so the damage is 7. Minus 1 is 6. Psylocke goes to -2. And the star here means we trigger this boost icon, return the support you control with the highest cost to your hand. So we also lose our safe house on top of losing the game. And that was Juggernaut. And I guess my big mistake was moving him to phase 2 or not planning accordingly. Like if I'd looked ahead and thought about it, like in my mind, I was like, I bet he puts his helmet on. And then I didn't really consider the ramifications of him putting his helmet on while he was stunned and confused. If I had thought that through, I think I had just confused him or just stunned him. Like, I could have waited until afterward. I don't know if I could have paid the 3 though, but I think probably I would have had to just give up dealing damage that turn and leave him on stage 1 until I could make sure to get another stun or something on him for after advancing to phase 2. Well, that was a fail, but I like to fail forward, so I might replay it, but probably not on camera, which means we're going to pretend we won and read the next little bit of comic book here. I mean, if I had survived this, I could have done 3, 6, 8, 9 damage. I got cards in my hand, but not particularly exciting ones. That would have put him at 5. I don't know that I could have done that last 5 damage. I also don't have any more stun or confuse cards in my hand, so that is dangerous as well. I could have flipped to Alter Ego, healed a little bit, but but then he would have schemed, and Unstoppable Juggernaut would make him attack me even if I'm in Alter Ego form. So I don't know if that would have helped me. So I was like close, but not quite close enough that I'm comfortable saying like, oh, I would have had him. I don't know that I would have had him. But we're going to read on anyway. What's that saying about the bigger they are? All right, pair up and search the house. Hope, you're with me. So, you don't trust me on my own now? I just want to make sure nothing happens to you, Hope. This looks like a dead end. Wait, I think I found something. Team, we found an elevator in the basement. Get down here pronto. At last, my final test subject has arrived. Don't worry, Hope. This won't hurt much. Mr. Sinister. So I guess next time we'll face off against Mr. Sinister. The other hero pack that came out alongside Psylocke is Angel. This video is a bit delayed because I had trouble getting my hands on those hero packs. The place where I usually got them is no longer stocking board games and card games like Marvel Champions, so I had to find other places to get them, and they were pretty slow shipping it. I'm still working through some of the issues with that, and I'll have to find out where I'm going to be getting my Marvel Champions going forward. But anyway, stay tuned for Angel vs. Mr. Sinister. Thanks for watching. Subscribe so Psylocke can recover from getting beaten up by Juggernaut, and bye.